Hey everyone, and welcome to another Game Explained discussion. I'm your host, Derek Bittner, and I'm joined today by Ash Paulson and the great Clement to discuss the reveal of Marvel vs. Capcom Infinite. So let's get started. Alright guys, so PSX was this past weekend, and they had the keynote, and right off the bat, Marvel vs. Capcom 4, technically Infinite, was shown off, just like everybody suspected and was rumored about for quite some time. Just right off the bat, what was your reaction seeing this trailer actually premiere right off the bat?
Well, yeah, I knew from the rumors, the rumors were going on for so heavily that, it had to be happening, and as soon as I saw the Capcom logo, I'm just like, yep, this is definitely Marvel vs. Capcom, and it was awesome when the first thing we see as the trailer starts up, Mega Man X walking in frame, and there's Mega Man. At first, I didn't even know it was Marvel vs. Capcom at first, because I was like, wait a minute, is this Mega Man first? Did they spring Mega Man on us?
That would be amazing.
Oh man, that would have been awesome.
But then Ryu showed up, so it was like, oh god, this is Marvel vs. Capcom. Whoa.
What about you, Ash?
I wish I could have been there to see it live. I had stuff to do Saturday morning, so I didn't actually hear about this until I checked my mail and saw the press release from Capcom listing Mega Man X. I'm like, oh my god, they finally did it. It happened, because I was one of those many really angry, really salty Mega Man fans back during MVC3 when we found out Mega Man was cut and we just got Zero instead, and that just made me so upset. And I was like, come on, X has not had his turn in a fighting game. Literally every other Mega Man, except for Shooting Star Mega Man, has had a turn. When does my boy X get in? Not only do we get him in Infinite, but they headline with him. He's the first character you see, and I think Capcom kind of owed us that one. So I'm really happy that's how this went, because after an MVC with no Mega Man, that was pretty rough to deal with. And no, Zero doesn't count. He's not a Mega Man.
Yes, he is. He is Mega Man Zero. That's the
not that.
He has a whole
Zero.
But yeah, no, I was pretty much the same way. Like, you hear all these rumors, you know what's coming, and to see it pop up like that, I'm like, okay, cool. Like, I'm getting over a sickness at that time, and even then, I was still pretty excited to see them come out and show it off right off the bat.
Yeah, I mean, of course, I've watched that trailer about a million times, as you can, probably imagine. And it's funny, if you watch the live audience reaction version, there's someone, right when X is shown off at the very beginning of the trailer, there's someone who, really audibly, it's this combination gasp and cry, and, this person, this guy or gal, literally cannot control their emotions. And I wish I could say that was me. I wasn't there, so I can't take credit for that, but shout outs to that person, because if I had been there, I would have reacted much like you. It was almost too much for me to handle seeing X in this game, finally.
Clement, what do you think, seeing the rest of it? Did it keep that hype after just seeing X right off the bat?
Well, definitely, I was kind of hoping that Wolverine was going to show up a little bit, because there has been a rumor that the X-Men characters might have been omitted from Marvel vs. Capcom. So I was just kind of curious to see what Marvel characters they were going to show off. And they show off Iron Man, and then they show off Captain Marvel, Miss Marvel. And then the trailer ended, and I was just like, oh boy, they didn't show Wolverine. Does that mean, the X-Men are truly omitted, or are they going to be showing up later? Because I don't know, but yeah, I'm not a big comic book person. I haven't really read any Miss Marvel stories. I've never seen her in any of the movies or cartoons. I know next to nothing about Miss Marvel, so again, I'm not a comic book nerd. I'm sure people in the comments are like, you don't know Miss Marvel? What the hell is wrong with you?
Hey, if it helps, Clement, I'm the same way. I'm here for the Capcom side of the roster. I literally have no wish list characters on the Marvel side because I'm not into comics. And I'm sure this is going to piss off the Marvel fans even more, but my love of Marvel goes as far as the MCU. I know the characters as they exist in the cinematic universe, and that's it. So for me, I'm here for X and the rest of the Capcom characters. And I just want everyone to be happy. So whoever needs to get in on the Marvel side to make the most fans happy, I'm fine with that. Go for it.
Yeah, it's I watch all the movies. I watched the Spider-Man cartoon when I was a kid.
Exactly.
I play a lot of Marvel video games. I've played Marvel Ultimate Alliance and all this stuff. I'm just not a comic book reader. I don't live near a place that sells comic books, and
Good luck keeping up with it. Yeah.
I don't have encyclopedic knowledge of the Marvel universe, aside from the movies and stuff. But that was probably a good reveal for people who love Miss Marvel. So
yeah, that's sort of how I am. I am a Marvel fan, but I'm very much a a casual fan of Marvel. I've watched the movies, I've watched the cartoons, I've read up on a couple of things just because I find them interesting, and I have bought a few Marvel comics. And I don't know, I like the ideas of the stories and the legacy, but it's so hard to just keep up and keep with them that it's hard to be a dedicated comics fan and know all this stuff. It really is hard to get that entry point. But I did realize right off the bat that it was huge to have Captain Marvel in there, because it was a big deal when she went from Miss Marvel to the Captain Marvel. There was no Miss involved or anything like that. She is Captain Marvel now, and it's become a pretty big deal, and Marvel's really pushed that. And to see that right off the bat, having her there is pretty big as far as the comic side of things. It's also quite big, as you said, Clement, that they did not have Wolverine, because usually he's one of the headliners because he's Wolverine. He's always there ever since Capcom versus X-Men, I think it was.
Yeah.
But I believe, Ash, you've also heard this rumor, because I think I've heard it as well.
Yeah.
That the rumor that they're not going to have any mutants in the game is untrue. Apparently they are actively working with Fox to get the rights so they can use some of the mutants for the game. There's no clarification yet whether they're going to be DLC or just added in like normal, but I can totally see Marvel pushing to have Wolverine and Magneto in there, because they're mainstays, they're well known, and people like them.
Oh yeah.
There's no reason not to have them.
If you've ever seen any kind of Evo match, during the Evo fighting game competition, people always have Magneto.
Yeah.
You gotta have Magneto and Wolverine.
I believe the rumor actually does state that the X-Men characters, if they did get in, would be added as DLC. So now, of course, this is only a rumor, so, take that with a grain of salt, but I've been following the game, obviously, very closely on GAF ever since I found out X was in it, and so some informed tipsters close to the game have been talking about some interviews they've been, doing with various Marvel and Capcom reps, and what I've heard from that is that X-Men characters are not off the table, and that there's already a deal being worked out with Fox that they can use X-Men characters as DLC. So who knows if that'll actually end up panning out, as that they'll only be DLC. Maybe there'll be some core X-Men characters in the regular roster. You never know, but that's what I'm understanding so far.
That would make sense, because let's be honest, not even just beyond the fact that this started as a X-Men cross Capcom or Street Fighter thing, it just makes sense because some of Marvel's biggest characters are X-Men, and Wolverine. Yeah. He might be dead, but he's still in the comics right now. But he's still super popular. So
no, I have to say, even as a passing super casual Marvel fan, having a Marvel vs. Capcom game without Wolverine and Storm and Magneto, even to me that feels and sounds weird. I think I really want at least those mainstay X-Men to be in there, because it's the X-Men have always been a big part of Marvel, and I understand that licensing deals might make that a little more difficult this time, but you've got to have at least Wolverine and Magneto, like you've been saying. I personally would go for Storm as well. I think Storm is really cool, but you got to have at least one X-Man in there, because this is Marvel vs. Capcom.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They got to figure it out. They have to.
They really do. But how do you guys feel about their first three selections? I mean, obviously we got X in there, but I mean, we also got the very standard Ryu and Morrigan. Those are some of the most entries when it comes to crossovers.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's the first character reveals, right? Of course they're going to go with something safe. I'm not too surprised that they went with, the safe Captain America and Morgan. It's easy to look back on it now and say X was obvious and X was a shoo-in, but before this, no one really thought that. Yeah. X wasn't necessarily a shoo-in because of what happened with MVC3, so obviously the fans really spoke out and Capcom listened, but it wasn't necessarily obvious before it happened. It should have been obvious, but, it wasn't. So now that he's in, I think the rest of the 5 characters announced so far are pretty safe, but at the same time, it's still the very beginning of these reveals. We've got a whole year of character reveals ahead of us. Mm-hmm. So, of course, they're going to want to get the safe ones out of the way first.
Yeah, and plus showing off Morrigan and Captain America in the gameplay trailer, it showed off a lot of familiar combos that were in Marvel vs. Capcom 3, assuring fans that, yes, this is the Marvel vs. Capcom it's going to play very similar to those games, so don't worry. It's just, now it's new, and it's exciting, because X is in it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think some people have been, and I've also noticed this too, about how graphically rough the trailer looks, and I kind of agree, but at the same time, compare the Street Fighter V reveal trailer to what Street Fighter V looks like now. Like, it's very clear that MVC Infinite's super early right now in its current form, so I don't think that you should take any graphics you see in that gameplay trailer to the bank as being what the game's going to look like at retail. There's no way. It looks very rough right now, you can tell.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they don't have any health icons or anything, so it's probably just proof of concept right now, but...
Exactly.
Yeah, you're just basically getting, like, the lineup. And the biggest change that I've seen so far, there's two big changes. The one I noticed right away is the fact that there are only 2 characters. I'm so used to Marvel vs. Capcom 2 and 3, where it was 3 characters for each side. And to go back to 2, which I didn't even realize that was a thing before MVC 2, is kind of interesting. I think and based on the gameplay that we did see, I think they maintained that level of chaos that Marvel vs. Capcom is very well known for, while probably making it a lot more manageable to deal with.
Yeah, that seems to be what they're going for, and I mean, it sounds like they really went through a lot of deliberation and a lot of serious discussion before they really finally decided to go with 2v2 instead of 3v3. But, you know, I gotta trust. I mean, they've made plenty of these games now. They're pretty much always fantastic. I mean, I may have had roster issues with MVC3, but I think most people seem to really like that game. So, you know, I'm willing to give them the benefit of the doubt. They've made so many of these games. They're all great, mostly, or at least they're mostly great. So I say, let's trust them.
Yeah. The thing I liked hearing about the news about Marvel vs. Capcom Infinite was that, you know, if you look on the description on PlayStation's page, they mention the fact that this game will have an arcade mode. This game will have, you know, the training sessions. It will have local and online multiplayer. And for the first time ever, this is going to be the first Marvel vs. Capcom with a dedicated story mode. Like, I saw the interviews with the guys at PlayStation Experience, and they even said, like, yeah, there's going to be a full-on story mode with cutscenes. Mega Man X is going to be a big part of the story.
Yes, I was going to say that.
At the very end of the trailer, because we talked about the reveals of who's playable, but at the end of the trailer, they reveal this shadowy figure who, again, I'm not a huge Marvel expert, but I can only guess to be Sigma combined with maybe Ultron?
Mm-hmm.
Question mark?
That's what I think a lot of people are thinking. That's the train I'm on. I think it's Ultron infected by the Sigma virus, and I am all about that. Seriously, all about that.
I mean, it just makes sense.
Yeah, so this game's going to have an arcade mode, like the ladder with endings that was missing from Street Fighter V. Mm-hmm. You know, that was one of the things people couldn't believe was not in Street Fighter V.
It made Street Fighter V nearly unplayable for me, because that's how I usually pick up characters and figure out which ones I like.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
So this will have arcade plus story. So for a single player who doesn't play online matches all the time, that's already a breath of fresh air for me. And it seems silly praising, like, the bare necessities of a fighting game, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's just, this is Capcom we're talking about, and after Street Fighter V's reveal, you know, you gotta give us more, Capcom. You can't...
Yeah.
Come on.
I can't believe that even at this early stage, they're saying that X is going to play a huge part in the story. And if Sigma is, you know, the big bad, or if it's Ultron infected with the Sigma virus... Like, there's so much Mega Man X love in this game, not just for X himself, but for the series. And I'm like, how many years has it been since Mega Man X fans have been able to say, man, this is exciting? Like, it's been so long. This is great.
No, that's totally the case. And it makes sense, like, X would have a big role if Sigma is one of the big bad guys. Although, let's be honest, if they're including the Infinity Gems in here, there's no way Thanos is not making an appearance.
Yeah. I can see
Is he
that.
connected to the Infinity Gems?
Yeah.
Okay.
He uses the Infinity Gauntlet, which the Infinity Gems go in, and basically allows him to remix time and space to his whim. That's sort of his.
Oh, well, there you go.
thing.
Well, then maybe it's Thanos and Sigma,
It could be.
and not Ultron.
They gotta introduce other villains, too. Like, I'm sure Albert Wesker will be back for the Capcom side.
I so hope so.
Sure.
I'm sure all the Capcom and Marvel villains are teaming up for some nefarious scheme.
How cool would it be if Sigma was playable, like regular Sigma? That would be, I mean, I feel like it's kind of past time for Sigma to have been playable, because he's such a mainstay Capcom villain that almost never gets used. Like, you know, because he's very Bison-like. He's got this very kind of dastardly, you know, got this great villain laugh, and he's just evil. There's no excuse for it. He's just bad. and he's a great villain, and I feel like maybe there's a chance we'll finally see Sigma playable here.
That'd be great.
Which version of Sigma, since you guys know all the X games?
Oh God! I mean, that's the whole thing. Is there's so many to choose from? Why even
Yeah.
just choose one? Let's have his Scythe from X4. Let's give him his giant, energy sword from X1. Like, let's the sky's the limit now, right?
I just thought of something. You know how in X2 he basically turns into Wolverine?
Oh God,
He does, doesn't he? Yeah, he does.
That could easily be like their version of Berserker Barrage. Sigma Barrage!
I'm all about it. God,
That'd be amazing.
I'm all about it.
Oh, I'd love that. That'd be so cool. Yeah, that's probably the most exciting thing is that already you're seeing like the basics here that makes it different, makes it interesting. You got some cool additions to the characters. Like the fighting system could be interesting, and you have the basics, so we're not looking at a Street Fighter V situation. I can't be more happy. I think the only thing people are really worried about is the Infinity Gem system.
Yeah,
That seems to have caused quite a bit of trepidation in people.
it's basically the new assist. There are only 6 Infinity Gems in the comics, so I'm guessing there's only going to be 6 assists, because there's the Soul Gem, the Time Gem, Space Gem, Mind Gem, Reality Gem, and the Power Gem. So 6 different ways of customizing your 2 fighters to be either more powerful or to slow down time, or... Well, again, I don't know what the effects of all these gems are going to be in gameplay. I don't know what they're going to mean towards every single matchup, but I guess we need more information on that. But
Yeah, I mean, you saying it as an assist, sort of makes sense to me. Rather than the third character, you just choose which gem could appear for your characters, and you can use that at some point during the match, or try to get it at some point during the match. I'm not sure how exactly they would implement it, but it seems to make sense to me how you would balance it. It's just choose your gem, it can appear, you can use that as a boost, and I mean, we didn't see any sign of, I think it was called the X Factor in MVC3, which was also very controversial, how you could totally come back with that because it was just so broken at times.
Well, especially if you were playing Phoenix. If you were playing Phoenix and your other 2 characters were knocked out, you had this level 3 X Factor, and you just use it on Phoenix, and she would be able to... Obviously, she has almost no HP, but her attack output is so high that a lot of people, I think, at least in the early game, or the early days of the metagame, really relied on that because she was so strong with X Factor.
She's a glass cannon.
Yeah, totally. I think the Infinity Gems can work. I think it's really just kind of a matter that they do it correctly, because I know what people are concerned about is the fact that Street Fighter Cross Tekken, a lot of people felt was ruined by this, the inclusion of gems, or the gem mechanic. So I think if they do it right, they could, introduce this new Infinity Stone-based system that people like more than X Factor, because X Factor obviously was very controversial. But again, if they do it wrong, then we could be looking at a Street Fighter Cross Tekken situation again, where people just kind of drop it competitively very quickly because the gem metagame just messes up the core game too much.
Yeah, I could see that happening, but I have a feeling they're at least going to try to make it a little bit more balanced, and the gems kind of naturally have that. Like, you see which one each one done. It's kind of mostly self-explanatory. You can figure out exactly what works for you, and maybe each one counters another, so you can sort of prepare for that, or whatever you might do. I mean, I'm just sort of excited because I'm not much of a fighting game person. I enjoy fighting games, oddly enough, for the story. I like the crazy characters. I like the crazy scenarios they come up with, and I kind of get sucked into them, which is why I like having arcade mode and story mode and all that stuff. But when I go online, I usually get my butt kicked. But with MVC3, I actually did okay during online matches, and actually won a few, which never happened with Street Fighter 4 and 5 and Mortal Kombat X and all that stuff. I could not win matches, but at least in the early days of MVC3, I was doing well. So I'm so hoping I have that just the chaos of everything kind of helps me, and I can just not have to worry about tactics, just unload damage. And of course there are tactics and plans and all that stuff in there, but at least I can have fun online and maybe get a few wins.
No, hey, I'm right there with you, Derek. I am so bad at playing these games online, and I mean, I've never been good at a versus game, but you know what? I'm going to try my very best to learn this game to the best of my ability and get somewhat decent at it because of X. Like, I have to learn this day one. I'm buying it. I skipped out on 3, no problem, but I'm going to be in training mode and playing the hell out of this game as soon as it comes out. simply because of one character. The power of one character is amazing.
And he's in the story mode, so he's going to be talking and stuff. So yeah,
I know. Like, that's the whole thing. Is I was thinking the other day, like, this isn't just X and being in the game. It's like now I get to look forward to a whole year of like key art reveal, his voice actor, his supers, his moves, his his win quotes. This is like a whole experience for me. Like, oh my god, I can't even talk about how hyped I am.
Hey Ash, his stage music.
His stage music, exactly, which we might have already seen at least one Mega Man X stage. It was the Able City from the original Mega Man X game mashed up with Thor's world, Asgard.
Oh, okay.
That's what seems to be one of the stages the stage that we saw in the gameplay trailer. So, or at least people have been speculating that it's kind of like a Mega Man X Thor mashup.
Okay, so they're going to be mashing up the stages, which would make it interesting, I will say.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, are you looking, like, what's your experience just in the past with Marvel vs. Capcom games, Clement? Like, are you generally better at them, or about the same with fighting games?
I'm not bad at fighting games, but ironically, I have the exact opposite thing with you, Derek. I'm terrible at Marvel vs. Capcom. Like, if I play Mortal Kombat online, I could win a few matches. Street Fighter V, I'm pretty good with M. Bison. I can win a few matches here and there. I've tried playing Marvel vs. Capcom 3. I never know when to use assists. I'm always caught off guard by other people's assists. There are too many flashing colors. It just always dominates me anytime I play that game, and I'm just like, I don't know what I'm doing. But I did grow up playing Marvel vs. Capcom 2, and then I played Marvel vs. Capcom 3. I never grew up playing Marvel 1 or X-Men Cross Street Fighter or, all that stuff. But yeah, I'm a big fan of the series. I definitely played the heck out of Marvel vs. Capcom 3, even if I wasn't all that great at it. But yeah, I'm excited for this. I'm definitely going to be getting it day one.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, same here. So, I mean, we've mostly covered everything, but we got to talk hopefuls, like who we hope to get in, who we hope to see, and all that good stuff. So, Ash, I know you've already gotten your big character, but who else would you like to see in the game?
Well, it's really more about who I don't want to see cut, and the top of that list is Amaterasu. I would love to be able to run a team of X and Amaterasu in Infinite, just because Okami is like my second favorite game of all time, basically, and I think Amaterasu is an awesome character. So I would really like to see her not get cut, although I have a feeling she's probably one of the likeliest to be cut, if anything, just because Okami doesn't exactly have a lot of staying power. So I'm not, I'm realistic about her chances, but I hope she stays. And then there's Zero, which I'm of two minds on this. I want Zero to stay because that would be a dream come true, being able to play as a team of X and Zero. Like, that makes the Mega Man fanboy in me explode, literally. Like, I can't even. However, the dark Kermit side of me can't deny that it would be kind of funny and kind of cathartic to see Zero cut for X. After all these years of X fans getting kind of pushed aside, it would be kind of great to see Zero cut in favor of X. However, I really just want them both to be in the game. So, as for characters I want added, I think Elena from Street Fighter 3 and 4 would be cool. I've always liked Elena's playstyle. So, I'm not kidding myself. She's never going to make it. But I think Elena would be cool. Also, another Mega Man rap, other than Sigma, if we might get him, I think Bass would be really cool. I know people want Proto Man, but let's give Bass a turn. Either like regular Bass or Bass.exe from the Battle Network series, but I think Bass needs a turn. I think he's pretty cool.
I mean, we've had this conversation a couple times now, but for me, if they do add Zero in, I personally think it should be Mega Man Zero from his.
Oh right, the Zero Series Zero,
yeah,
which I think would be cool too. I love that version of Zero, but that visual chemistry of seeing X and X Series Zero team up is too cool to pass up.
I still think New Zero looks better than Classic Zero.
He does. No, he totally does. I'm in complete agreement with you there.
You don't like the green jewel boobs?
I don't dislike them, but there's something about the art style in the Zero series that I just adore. And Zero it's cuter in a way, but at the same time it's also more badass. And Zero looks so cool in the Zero series that I would be. And he was awesome to play as, by the way, in SVC Chaos. Zero Series Zero has been in a fighting game, and it wasn't very well liked, but he was a lot of fun to play in SVC Chaos. So, I'd love to see Zero Series Zero come back.
What about you, Clement?
In terms of new characters, I can't think of too many, but I did think of one for the Capcom and one for the Marvel side. For the Marvel side, I think, since Captain America the Winter Soldier just came out, bring on the Winter Soldier. He's a very similar character with a metal arm, kind of like the Bionic Commando from Capcom. So I think that'd be a nice similarity, crossover kind of thing going on there, because, Steve Rogers' buddy. It'd be neat. For Capcom's side, there was this game that came out around the same time as Marvel vs. Capcom 3 that was called Asura's Wrath. And in it, there was actually DLC where Asura actually beat up Ryu and Akuma. And it was a pretty out there video game. It's this guy with 6 arms who's this demigod who flies through space and yells a lot. And I just think that would be perfect for a Marvel vs. Capcom game. So bring in Asura.
I agree.
I've seen a lot of people make that suggestion, and I wholeheartedly agree. Like, as far as a new Capcom character, he seems too perfect for this series.
No, he really does. We did an Asura's Wrath art book at Udon, and I had to research the game, and I watched the story for it, and I am in complete agreement. Like, I was watching those cutscenes on YouTube, and Asura would be perfect for this game. So I hope he gets in too. Like, I think that would be a great addition.
I don't have any new ones on the top of my head, but I think for returning characters, I want my Tron Bon. I want my Phoenix Wright. Phoenix Wright needs to come back with his finger poke of doom. Probably Deadpool, because I'm a big fan of Deadpool and Marvel. And just Wolverine. Bring back Wolverine.
Give you Wolverine, yeah.
I'm
I
right
want
there
my
with
Berserker
you.
Barrage.
I really want Tron to come back. Like, I feel like at this point, cutting Tron would feel wrong because she's been in every game. Mm-hmm. And I know Legends isn't a big deal anymore, but man, I mean, if Tron can be in 3, I feel like it would be silly to cut her for 4 or for Infinite,
or at least put in Servbot.
or at least put in Servbot. That's also true. But I do want to comment that I really want Phoenix Wright and Tron to come back. I should have mentioned that earlier, along with Amaterasu, but. Yeah, Tron and Phoenix Wright, and this will never happen, but if we can get Godo instead of Phoenix, I'll take Godo too.
Gosh.
But that'll never happen, so Phoenix is fine.
Yeah.
He just throws coffee at people.
Hey, that's all you need to do. What else would you need?
That'd be amazing. For me personally, I would love to see... It's funny, the one I want back most is Felicia. From Darkstalkers, and that's mainly because she was one of my mains in Marvel vs. Capcom 3. My team that I usually ran was Deadpool, X-23, and Felicia. And Felicia was always my clincher because she is so fast, so chaotic, nobody knows how to react to her, and I could just find ways to get around them and throw them off because of how quick she was. Granted, a lot of that was coming from the X Factor, so I might have to change it up. But I really grew to love Felicia because of that, and just how insane she is. Like, she's this cat girl who wants to be a pop star, and I'm like, what?
And I think she grew up at a nunnery, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Wasn't she raised by nuns?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's why she wants to be a pop star, to help support the orphanage and
so
whatnot.
good.
It's insane, but I love her, and just how fun she is to play. And along that same line with Capcom, I agree with you guys. I never got to try Phoenix Wright because I never picked up Ultimate Marvel vs. Capcom 3. So I'd love to finally have a chance to play him and see how he acts, because, hey, and now I'm actually familiar with the series, so I can actually get a lot of the references and things they do with him. So that'd be a lot of fun. It'd just be really cool. For the Marvel side, I really want Miss Marvel to get in there, and this is the new Miss Marvel, who Kamala Khan, I believe her name is, and she has sort of like Mr. Fantastic powers in a way, not quite the same, but she can also morph her body and grow bigger, grow smaller type of thing. She's very dynamic in that way, and she's just a really fun character. I'd love to see them take her, and she's becoming bigger, she's very popular. I'd love to see her get implemented and just see what they can do with her. I think she'd be a lot of fun. And the other Marvel character I really want, if you can't tell, I like silly characters, because I want Squirrel Girl in there.
That'd be awesome.
Yeah. She's just, again, silly, unbeatable, just all kinds of crazy. It'd just be... And she has become just a legit fun character over time, because people just naturally like her and just how upbeat she is. And so I can totally see her having some really fun interactions with some of the characters, especially if Deadpool comes back, seeing those two interact. There's a lot of potential here on the Marvel side. And the funny thing is, I'm having a hard time thinking of new Capcom characters to show up. It's mostly just ones I want to return.
That's funny, is I actually just, all this time talking about Darkstalkers, I just realized a big gaping hole in my Capcom wish list. Mm-hmm. And that's Rival Schools. Bring back one rival schools
Oh, yeah.
character and I'll be
Yeah.
happy. I love that series so much. Like, give us like Akira or Kyosuke or I don't know, Natsu or Shoma, and just one rival schools character, and I'll shut up about it. But just give me proof of life of that series. Rival Schools is so cool. I love that series.
Yeah, I was also thinking of like Tatsunoko versus Capcom and all of the Capcom characters they had in that as well that never really showed up in Marvel versus Capcom. Like they had an Onimusha character in Tatsunoko versus Capcom, and I don't think we've had an Onimusha character in Marvel.
We haven't.
So
No,
I
we
think
haven't.
that'd be neat.
Jean Reno. We need Jean Reno.
Yes,
Yeah, we do.
Yeah.
get John Reno on the line.
I mean, we already have X, so I'm happy. But in the future, if we got Mega Man Trigger in a new fighting game, that would be cool because he was limited to Tatsunoko. So I'd love to see Trigger get another chance.
Also, just as far as wacky, I mean, it's Capcom. Marvel is owned by Disney. We can get the Rescue Rangers. We can get Scrooge McDuck. We can get Aladdin. We can get Simba. Like, there's a lot of possibilities.
Darth Vader.
Yes.
Yeah.
You have to trump Soul Calibur 4.
Hey, he's in Marvel. Darth Vader is in Marvel Comics.
We were laughing about this before recording this discussion, but I would absolutely run a team of X and Scrooge McDuck. Like, come on. How cool would that be?
Pogo stick them, and then as they're like down on the ground, you'd use that pogo stick to like golf swing them into the side.
Perfect.
Oh man.
You know, for what it's worth, I don't know a whole lot about the character himself, but just based on the Guardians of the Galaxy movie, I would really like to see Rocket Raccoon return, just because he's a really funny character. Again, just based on my like surface level of the movies, knowledge of the movies, I think I'd love to see Rocket Raccoon come back. And also, while we're on that subject, my favorite X-Man was always Bobby Drake, so I don't think we'll get Iceman back, but I wouldn't mind seeing him back. I think it'd be pretty cool.
Can't see him coming back, but
I don't either.
Like, speaking of Guardians of the Galaxy, there is no way that Groot is not going to be in this game.
No, yeah, Groot has to be in the game in some form. I would think playable makes sense.
Especially with Volume 2 coming out this year, so...
I feel like there's going to have to be a Guardians of the Galaxy push in this game.
Yeah.
At least somewhat.
Yeah, I could totally see that. And just, you know, we're definitely going to be seeing some MCU characters. I could totally see Black Panther popping in this after Civil War and his upcoming movie. I also heard rumors that the Marvel TV side might get some love, so we might see like Daredevil or Luke Cage. Iron Fist might return. Jessica Jones. So there's a lot of possibility. Like the Marvel Cinematic Universe has grown quite a bit since MVC3. So
yeah, I think really more than anything, it's going for fans of both franchises. I think it's going to be really interesting to see how the Marvel side of the roster pans out this time because Marvel seems to be in such a different state of affairs than it was back when MVC 1, 2, and 3 came out. You know, so Capcom, I think we're going to be able to more or less mostly predict the kind of characters we're going to see. But Marvel, I think it's really very much up in the air right now.
definitely feels that way. But well, any final thoughts about Marvel vs. Capcom Infinite?
I have one prediction to make.
Oh boy.
One roster prediction.
Okay.
And it's a safe one. It's a safe one. It has to do with Street Fighter. I think they're going to add in Rashid from Street Fighter V because Rashid seemed to be that Street Fighter V's kind of big hero in the story mode. And it seems to be kind of like the big new fighter that they're anchoring 5 around. So I would not be surprised to see Rashid added from 5.
I could see that. I really enjoyed playing him, so yeah, I could see that.
I also think, this is just a personal desire of mine, but I think they should cut Akuma, because we already have Ryu, and Ryu will always be Ryu, and he's a Shoto, and that's fine. Cut Akuma, and give us someone like Juri. Like, I know we have to have a lot of Street Fighter reps, because it's Street Fighter. Totally get it. Give us someone like Juri that's not just another Shoto, but like darker and evil, like Akuma. Hell, give us Street Fighter V Ken over Akuma. I just find Akuma so boring compared to so many other Street Fighter choices they could make.
Yeah. What about you, Clement?
I'm just looking forward to it. I mean, for one thing, I didn't expect Mega Man X to be in the trailer. I expected, I expected Ryu, and I expected, Chris Redfield.
Yeah.
Like, I expected things that we had already seen before, and when Mega Man X was announced, it's like, oh, you got my attention. And when they said that it has a story mode and an arcade mode alongside it, it's just like, oh, well, this will be a good single-player fighting game for me, and, it's probably going to borrow a lot of stuff from the MCU. It's probably going to have new Capcom characters that are going to be really fun and fresh. I imagine they have to look at the response Street Fighter V got, and they have to be making huge improvements to the selection of modes and to the replayability and stuff, because they want this to sell well, you know?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I'm sure Marvel wants to have another success on their hands because it's Marvel. Come on.
Yeah.
So, I feel like this is going to be a really cool game. I feel like this is going to be a great fighting game for the PlayStation 4. And, is this also coming to Xbox One? Do we know that?
I'm not sure, honestly.
It is, actually.
Okay.
It isn't exclusive. It is coming to Xbox One and Steam.
Okay, that makes sense, yeah.
We're all in agreement that this story mode is going to end with a cliffhanger that leads directly into Mega Man X9, right? We're all in agreement on that.
Now you just have your head pie. Now you're just pie in the sky, Ash.
Yeah, I know. There's no hope for me. There's no hope.
Just out of curiosity, when do you guys think this will come out? Is it going to be a summer title? Is it going to be a fall title, like holiday title next year?
Holiday.
You think holiday?
For sure.
I'd say holiday too.
Okay, I can see that.
I feel like they revealed it in December now. I don't see it coming out like in 6 months. I see it coming out a long time from now. In fact, it might get delayed to 2018.
It might.
I mean, it looks so early. I actually wouldn't be surprised if it did get delayed to 2018. That's why I say holiday. It has to be.
Yeah, that makes sense.
It's going to be a long year. A really long year.
Yeah, but it's going to be fun with all the reveals. I'm actually really excited
really
to
is.
see what they're going to show off. And
I'm excited.
It's kind of like Smash Brothers. Like, who are they going to add?
No, I mean, and if they do reveal Zero and he's not cut, and with that inevitable trailer of X and Zero team up attacks, I can't. We have to stop talking about this because I'm going to excite myself too much.
All right, we've determined that Ash has a problem.
It's true. No, hey, I am like a kid in a candy shop. I am so hyped. It's embarrassing, but I fully embrace it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'd say you're worse now than you were with Mega Man Classic and Smash Brothers.
Really? Well, maybe. Although I got to see that live, so I think I got a lot of it out when I saw it live.
Oh,
but I didn't get to see this live. So, but either way, both of my fighting game dreams have come true. Mega Man and Smash and X and versus game. I'm good.
All right. Well, I think that covers it for our Marvel vs. Capcom Infinite discussion. So thank you for watching. And if you like this video, be sure to like us on Facebook and Twitter at GameXplain. And Clement, where can they find you at?
I just have a YouTube channel where I do Let's Plays every now and then at youtube.com/ClementJ64. I mostly play Sonic video games. I've got other stuff down the pipeline, including a Final Fantasy retrospective that'll be happening one video a month. So that should be neat.
Yeah, I think that's going to be a lot of fun. So, yeah. And, of course, be sure to subscribe to GameXplain for more on Marvel vs. Capcom and other things gaming, too. Until next time, bye.